And now we go about honoring our distinguished, but stay seated, you're not up yet, and I've never once trusted a phone to tell me what I need to know, but it's working, so I'm going to tell you about Dr. Poudel, now, who I hired in 2001. 2000. Best hire, and when you're 71 and been successful in life, you've hired a lot of people. He is singularly the best person I ever hired. He had a PhD in soil science from the University of Georgia, from Athens, and then pertinent to me, reading his resume and just jumping out of my seat with enthusiasm, he was a visiting research scholar with the Department of Agronomy and Range Science at the University of California, Davis. I cannot overstate how respected Davis is for its agricultural programs. So he was there from 98 till 2000, and then he came here. And he has been a professor here, risen up through the ranks, so he's now a full professor, which is a very important title in its own right to achieve that rank in a university. His team received the 2000, and this is an amazing award. This is when I knew you were the best hire I ever had. I read while I was living overseas that he, in 2017, received the Best Research Paper Award for Impact and Quality, honorable mention, from the Journal of Soil and Water Conservation. And that was in 2017, and that is the powerhouse institution in his field. So that award is very knowledgeable. He's a coordinator of Environmental Resource Science Master's Program, and I've met a number of his students and just really privileged to do so. A fellow with a series of acronym letters in front of it of the Institute for Coastal and Water Research here at UL. The founder of, and I can't wait to hear about this, the Asta-Ja framework, and the founding president of the Asta-Ja USA nonprofit registered in Hawaii. And the co-founder of the Asta-Ja, well, I think I've said all I need to say, other than to say the measure of a man is the degree to which he is respected by his peers, by his students, and by that broader profession, which in his case is the soil and water conservation community. So Durga, will you please come up and receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, this beautiful certificate I expect to see on your wall. So somebody take a picture of this from Lambda Alpha International.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful. That will make the newsletter, no doubt.
Thank you.
And here is a beautiful pin, and I think this is an easy pin for me to put on, so I don't have to worry about poking you. Let's see. I'm only going to make one try at this, so if it doesn't work. My hands are shaking because I'm a little nervous. I don't sound like I'm nervous, but I get nervous up here, even though I've been in this room 100 times. Okay, so figure out how to make that work. And now, of course, anybody who receives a Lifetime Achievement Award enjoys the opportunity to talk about the work that merited that recognition. And so we are now privileged to hear something I am so glad I came to be a part of from Dr. Poudel, his work about his career, his journey to environment and ecological sustainability. Honoring Durga.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's my really great honor and privilege to be a life member of this Lambda Alpha International Society. I'm really excited, and thank you, Dr. Reith, for leaving me here in 2000 after hiring me in 2000, or leaving me here in 2002, and coming back in 2024 and giving me this honor of being lifetime member, of this very reputed society, Lambda Alpha International. Thank you so much, appreciate it. So before I start my presentation, I really like to thank you all today, Friday evening, and having your many other commitments or program, you are here in this induction ceremony, which is very, very important and valuable for me, and I really appreciate your time. And with this, I will give my presentation on my journey to ecological and environmental sustainability. So this is a journey to ecological and environmental sustainability. And when I start talking about this journey, really the journey starts way before than I thought about it, from childhood perhaps, or maybe when I was born, then the journey began, I guess. But specifically in this talk, I will drive you through my educational journey, pioneering of this Ostaja, some grassroots research and development in Nepal, and Nepal Vision 2040, which I founded based on the Ostaja framework, and Ostaja LAI soil science connection, because I have my PhD in soil science, and how do I see this connection, and Ostaja partnerships, and finally summary and conclusion. So my journey begins from the year 1960. 64 years ago, my journey began, in fact, after coming to this planet Earth, beautiful Earth indeed. And I don't think there is any other planet more beautiful than this. So we really respect this planet, the ecology, the environment, the life, everything. We are blessed with Mother Earth. And from there now, my first timeline comes this BSc Honors Agriculture, major Agri-Economics. Then I thought, oh, okay, that's why I did my major in agricultural economics, because I am a member of now Lambda Alpha International, which is Land Economic Society. So I can understand more about this, my peer over there, when they talk about economics perhaps. So which is great. And then I did my master's from Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, in natural resources management, 1991. Then I got a research fellow at the Asian Vegetable Research and Development Center, 1991-94. And then come to United States for PhD and graduated in 1998. Then drove 3,000 miles with my family, all except the youngest one. The youngest one was born here in Louisiana. So two of my children, my wife and myself, we packed up things in Georgia and we started driving 3,000 miles to UC Davis, California. Amazing cross-country tour. And then now, here at University of Louisiana from 2000, another 3,000 miles drive from UC Davis, California to here, to University of Lafayette in Louisiana. So, and this book came in 2024. So my academic journey basically brought this book as a kind of a refined piece of work that synthesizes, I think, my lifelong learning in that. Then before I talk about the book, I realized that to come something nice, it has to trigger somewhere. Without triggering, nothing comes up. And my family was so excited to drive cross-country. Whenever we get a time, just, okay, my wife will say, let's make a plan, okay? Okay, let's make a plan. And then we drive. So in the summer of 2008, we decided to drive all the way to Prince Edward Island from here, and that our 5,300 miles round trip to 23 days, that turned out to be really, really so important for us, because one of the reason to drive that long tour was this conference in Canada in 2008. And one of my colleagues was hosting that conference. Then he asked, why don't you come to Canada and give us a talk? Come to Canada? And their family said, let's drive to Canada. Well, let's go there. Then the first time when I was brewing this concept of oyster-jaw, I said, why don't I give a talk in that conference, about the oyster-jaw, because it's a chance for me. How people receive that or not, I can test it. So conferences are really cool thing. You can throw your idea and get the feedback, and then you move forward. The same thing happened there. I gave a talk first time, oyster-jaw for economic development in Nepal. And after the conference, one gentleman just come and approached to me, Dr. Basu Sharma. He is a business professor at University of New Brunswick. And then he said, oh, I like your talk. Thank you so much. And then he said, why don't you turn this into a paper, a journal paper? Wow, that's what I need. I need journal paper, but is it publishable? He says, yeah, this is a great concept. So why don't you work on it and then submit? How long time do I have? He said, 1 month. Seriously, he said 1 month. Well, I started, I'll do it then. So within a month time almost, I put together, because I had a lot of work done before I gave a talk there. And here we go. This paper comes out in 2008 in this Journal of Comparative International Management, just within a month. And just to tell you the truth, he was editor of this journal. Okay, so that's how it became easier for me, because the editor was interested on that paper. So I got a good feedback, I work on it, and finally the paper is published. So this one, the management of 8-jaw for economic development of Nepal. Think about that. I wanted to have oyster-jaw here, because the oyster is the soft word, I have coined it. But they said, no, I don't want that, because oyster is not established anywhere. So then what we do? We say 8J here, 8-jaw, then we threw that oyster-jaw in the abstract here. Then in subsequent publication, I started putting oyster-jaw in the title. Well, that was so exciting to have the first pioneering paper come out in print in 2008. Well, then I was very happy. Then what is oyster-jaw means? What is that? 8-jaw. Well, 8-jaw is basically a list of these natural and human resources. So what it is about water, land, forest, medicinal and aromatic plants, human resources, animals, crop plants, and climate. So all these 8 resources, they start with Nepali letter jaw. Wow, that is 8-jaw, or oyster means another Sanskrit word for 8, that is oyster-jaw. Well, then I coined that oyster-jaw, and basically these are the 8 resources. And really I tried very hard to include this climate as one of the resource. And the reviewer in the second journal, not on this one, the second journal, they were questioning, how can you say climate as a resource? Well, ultimately, climate is a resource, because climate doesn't exist. What exists is weather. Weather means temperature, precipitation, humidity, all these physical things which you can best utilize. Climate is what? We made it. We categorize it. So then they accepted that fact that climate is definitely a natural resource, because you can harness it or you can damage it. For example, climate destruction, climate damage, global warming, everything. Resource means you can utilize for your benefit and you can degrade it also, and climate fits into that category. So then I got my mind set, okay, climate is a resource. So now you have all these 8 resources, and the framework now, once I got this first paper published, then I thought, well, I got this first one done. I was very happy. But my curiosity did not stop there, because there are so many things now in this world of this oyster-jaw. And then I started working on this oyster-jaw, and then I kind of developed the framework over the time of this 16 years, basically. So what went in my mind, the journey was like, first the theory comes, then I started thinking about oyster-jaw policy, strategy, capacity building, social inclusion, etc. then only it gives a framework. To become a framework, it must be a robust framework. From many perspectives, you can see that, and it becomes valuable. Then after I work in this dimension of building the theory and framework of Ostaja, then I wanted to see the relevancy or applicability in the context of Nepal. Nepal is a laboratory for me now. I grew up there, born there, raised there, and then had my education, and also I was doing research there, so I could see how my theory of Ostaja and framework fit there in the context of Nepal. Wow, that is wonderful. You spent a lot of time, 2013 to 18 on that, and then after this, I came to a point that, hey, this is great, and I should give a future of this, Nepal hope, which is Nepal Vision 2040. That means by 2040, through the better implementation of Ostaja framework, the country can transform it to a developed country, at the level of a developed country by 2040. I started publishing paper on that, and then I realized that even if a country is developed, let's say US, Canada, or all developed world, I realized that the problem of food, water, climate, environment, energy security, or sustainability still rests there. Developed country doesn't mean that this kind of fundamental food, water, climate, environmental, or energy security go away. It's a long-term goal. As long as we are here, these fundamental securities remain. So I work on this and came up with the logical little framework for each of those security. And finally I thought of, well, you have all the securities, framework, theories, everything you have, but the governance is not there. If the government is not ready, nothing gonna work. These all things will stay somewhere in the bookshelf. So then I spent my final year around 2022 in governance, and then I thought that now it is ready to wrap up now everything, and that book comes in place, because now out of my several publications, this book consists of 13 publications, all in referred journal article, and then I realized that this 16 years was my era of theorizing framework development and the institutionalization of Ostaja, where now we are embarking upon the new era of implementation of Ostaja framework 2040. So that's now I am prepared for that. And this journey now is kind of in detail. If you see, these are the publications, 2008, 2009, 2011, 12, 16, 18, and 2018 again. And then you see some other publication, these 13 papers here, all continue. And finally, when I got this governance of Ostaja resources in Nepal Public Policy Review Journal, then I stopped publishing journal article and I started working on this book in the year 2023, and January 2024, the book was out. So basically this framework just grew just like my family grew. In 2006, in the summer of 2006, we went to New York to see, all right, let's see how is New York now. We have never seen that beautiful or very, very tall, high rises, all talk about city in the world. Then we pack up our things, and then have little daughter here now. I like her to stand up here now. And, okay. So first time in 2006, we went New York around, and she is on my shoulder here. And now in 2024, she graduates from Poudel University in neuroscience now. So that means when she going to New York, maybe she loved New York so much, she wanted to go for bachelor in New York. Well, good job. Thank you so much. We love you. And now I have my wife here. She joined all the way my life, from the day we got married all the way to, this LAI, and then even in my journey of Ostaja. Directly or indirectly, my family, and especially my wife, they have helped me, supported me so much on this framework, my work, and my, time-wise and everything being, I traveled to many different places, including Nepal for many weeks and months, and then really without my, help, super help from my wife, my family, it would have not been not been possible at all. So I like to request my wife, Santa, to stand up, and thank you so much. And my other two children now, she is in Los Angeles and he is in New York. So they are in two places. So we are here in the middle, which is great. So just like the family grows, the book grew also. And in January of 2024, this book was launched in Kathmandu in a very nice hotel with a lot of media attention and really very high level, people who review the book and talk about, and it was a very nice moment for us, including University of Louisiana at Lafayette. There were many media, national media, talking about the book launch and the university, which was fascinating. So the book is now here in Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So this is great. I never expected that book, my book, that I had been working, as Dr. Suber said this morning, that you always work not knowing other people around. You have been working a lot, So yeah, that's true. I always keep on working, and finally the book comes in Barnes and Nobles and Amazon. Then I never thought that will happen, but your dream comes true. So this is great. I really appreciate that and hope everybody will have a chance to read this book. So the book basically summarizes that Ostraza for Prosperity and National Integrity is a collection of 13 published papers, as I said, and they are all for sustainable conservation, development, and utilization of natural and human resources for fast-paced socioeconomic transformation, sustainable economic development, and environmental quality in Nepal. Because I focused this book in the context of Nepal. Nepal became my laboratory for me to understand socioeconomic, geological, environmental, climate, everything, and then I tie up in the form of this Ostraza framework, which is universal. These 8 resources are everywhere, and Ostraza is not only for Nepal. And in fact, Ostraza represents our planet Earth, 4 subsystems. We have this hydrosphere, lithosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. The 8 elements of Ostraza: land, lithosphere, hydrosphere is water, atmosphere is climate, and all these living things, they represent biosphere. So Ostraza is really a system representation of our planet Earth. All the 4 subsystems are very nicely represented in Ostraza system. So this Ostraza, I found these 8 resources or 8 elements so intricately linked, and each of them are driving another one. And finally find out this climate is the central, pivotal element, the climate. If climate changes, everything goes in different direction. As you see that, some best places in the world to live have turned into desert, for example, because climate change. So climate drives so many things, and in the meantime, this manpower is such a powerful element. It can adapt to climate, it can change the climate, it can manipulate the climate, it can change anything. So really, these 2 resources here, climate, very big, huge resource, and also human resource is very, very important resource, very powerful resource, not undermining the value of other resources. Really, the climate change and human resource become very important to understand this Ostraza system. We have the power to change. Now, I found out 8 principles. So I kind of 8 in a way. Ostra means 8, and then Ostraza framework has also 8 principles or strategies, you can say. Principle 1, the fundamental principle is community awareness. Policy decision making, interrelationship and linkages among and within and between this system of the elements. Principle, comprehensive assessment, principle 5. Then principle 6, sustainable technology and practices. That drives everything, our research, innovations, and practices for better ecology and environment, and then institution, trade, and governance, and finally, over encompassing principle is sustainable community and socioeconomic transformation of any society. The community is the final element to get the benefit, to be sustainable. That's the goal. So with these 8 elements and 8 principles, I invented this Ostrager log frame to challenge the planners and policymakers and researchers and everybody. So the challenge is that you have 8 resources, 8 principles, 8 by 8 metrics now. So you bring it to the community and you start asking questions, evaluating, assessing what is going on with respect to this water and community awareness level or capacity building. What is the level of capacity building for this resource, and what policy decision making important, or what interrelationship does exist there, or similarly what sustainable technology practices we have, or what institution governance we have, and finally the community development with respect to that water. So these metrics helps to serve the community, understand the resource status in the community, and also identify the problem, and then finally bring those information into policy making, decision making. So this is a very handy tool. And then every year a community can be assessed with educated personnel in terms of these resource base and the status. So now about food, water, energy, climate, and environmental securities. Well, then I thought about that. This framework has all the strategies, log frame, and then now it is operative. It can be utilized, operationalized, but for what? What's the main goal? The goal is food, water, energy, climate, and environmental securities. So for these securities, of course, this food security is kind of in Nepalese context, a smallholder mixed farming system, which is as opposed to large farming here, mechanized farming. But irrespective of those different sizes of the farm, these other drivers do hold the meaning. For example, incentives for the producer and traders is needed everywhere, whether it is in the mechanized world or in a small farming developing country. The incentives, support systems are needed everywhere. Here, pro-poor market, of course, maybe the developed country, you may have a different situation here, but in the developing country, the market is very important. And then this public investment and the policy, laws, programs, and this framework basically revolves around these 5 drivers for food security. And similarly, for the water security also, this circular model, which continues forever in a way, starts with identifying and listing water sources in the community. Then you continue going through this assessment policies, implementation of water sources development measures, and then monitoring, evaluation, and availability of water quality and quantity, and then reporting, and then continue this cycle. So that gives you the water security in a community or in a national level. Similarly, energy security also comes from the same circular model or framework of setting of sustainable energy goal, development of hydropower and alternative energy sources, energy infrastructures, decarbonization and electrification of energy end use, very important for energy security, monitoring and evaluation, reporting and community awareness, and it continues. So these several very important resources or sector can be handled very nicely with this simple framework that everybody comes to the same place and understand how the system runs. For climate security also, if you see, understanding the status of climate change, climate security risk assessment, climate security education, community awareness, risk mitigation adaptation, policy changes, monitoring climate security, reporting, and then continue like that. So at least these frameworks now give you how we start and what different elements are in the middle and how we close the loop. So then, of course, in between there will be many things, but this model, which I have discussed in detail in the book, gives you a really nice framework. And for environmental security now, as being in the environmental science program here, we can see very clearly environmental pollution control, the first thing, environmental assessment and remediation, and natural resource conservation. If you see these three lines here, all these activities, air pollution, water pollution, soil, land pollution, other pollutions, everything comes under this sphere here, environmental assessment and remediation here, and then natural resource or ostrager resources conservation and development right there. So by accomplishing these things, definitely we will be moving towards environmental security. So these securities are great, but unless the governance is not right, these securities will not be realized. So ostrager governance is another important part. This is very complex, in fact, although I put this in a very circular, simplified way, but who owns the resources, what are their tenure rights, what policies exist there, what are the regulations, how community interact in these natural resources, and how to invest, who makes the investment on ostrager resources, what will be the revenue sharing mechanism, who gets what, and finally, monitoring and evaluation of all of these things is a huge, complex activity right there, the governance part. And by going through this cycle, though, it captures all those elements where the complexities are, and then it guides us to move forward. Well, that's great. Now comes the story here now. I developed this framework, I developed these guidelines, everything. I wanted to check in the field, in Nepal, what does that mean now? Well, then I got, focused on doing some research, USAID funded research, some other donor agencies funded research, and doing research in Nepal. So now here the Dr. Griff Blakewood is right here, that Charles was talking earlier, and Griff visited Nepal in January 2012. Dr. Dix is here, he retired. He also visited, Dr. Dix visited 4 times for different research. So we went to Nepal for research, which was supported by USAID on climate change adaptation. And then this research now, the community was thrilled by having university researchers in their community to understand the causes and consequences of climate change and their impacts on agriculture, livestock, health, and water resources. Similarly, this is another research that our graduate student from geology did master thesis on geohazards in Nepal. And Dr. Dix, myself, and the student, we went to assess these severe geological hazards, including sand and gravel mining and desertification of some Chureya range, which is the young, very young mountain range in Nepal. And Dr. Tim Dix, he finds out that within the past, how many years, I would say, that is 50 years or so, this bridge, the riverbed has subsided from here to here. So that much of sand and gravel mining has occurred. So about 50 years ago, no truck could pass under that bridge, but now you can pass a big truck under that bridge. How much disaster is the situation there? So these things were very well, studied and documented. And in 2019, we developed this Nepal Study Abroad program, and then 16 students from here and 1 student from Arizona State University visited Nepal for 2 weeks. Each student was assigned with a mini project, individual project on high altitude climate change and adaptation. And then each student studied their project, 16 different projects in Nepal. It was fantastic study abroad program. And then the COVID hit after that, so we could not continue. But the connection between University of Louisiana at Lafayette or School of Geoscience and Nepal continued. And in recent year, in 2022, there have been many different activities in Nepal. with connection with Rotary International, Rotary Club Hawaii, and local Rotaries in Nepal, and Ostaja. So like basic education improvement program to make the high school education more technical, relevant, and then to help them out. So Rotarians from Hawaii, 15 Rotarians from Hawaii joined their 2 weeks of program to Nepal, and then they were assigned to give a classroom there, and they designed the course and talked to the students there. And similarly, the expert from Rotary, they brought the science teacher, and then they showed how to measure discharge of the river there, of a stream. So 16 high school science teachers participated in that 2 days training, and several like this activity, safety, road safety training for kids there, and adult science literacy. So various activities we finished in 2022. So again, these many activities, including the other projects, such as this drinking water project, and like this monthly seminar series like dirty water, dirty air, and it was run in Kathmandu Valley, and those food and nutrition project and some other earthquake relief events, everything we participated. I was fortunate to participate in many of these activities and help them out to get there, implemented. So these things really helped me to understand and to validate the model, the framework of Ostaja. And in the meantime, we started building institution also, several Ostaja organizations, like one in Nepal, Ostaja Research and Development Center, one in USA, Ostaja USA, and several others. So the Ostaja USA, which was established in 2018, I am the founding president of that one, has started publishing policy briefs very nicely. And if you look at here, there is Dr. Basu Sharma, who became the main, the coordinator of policy brief. So what I realized is that when you start working with the people, really it is so good to work for a long time. Like Dr. Basu Sharma was the one to find me in that conference and help me to publish that paper. And now in 2018, he comes to the Ostaja USA Executive Board and he looks after these policy briefs. So that's how in Ostaja framework development and Ostaja organization, we have been working together with many, many experts and publishing policy briefs, Ostaja USA newsletter. These are in the websites. And then also the Ostaja have been covered by many popular media like Power of 8. This is the Kathmandu Post, a national newspaper there. And also another Telegraph Nepal talks about Ostaja for grassroots-based economic development. And also book publication, the edited book by our 2 Ostaja board members, Dr. Ambika Adhikari, Dr. Basu Sharma again here. So these publications are available in the websites and all around. And in addition to that, all these activities, whether a student visiting Nepal or the Rotarian visiting Nepal or any other research projects we do, we all try them to put together in the journal article and publish it wherever we can publish them, so everything is documented. So these are just a few examples of those activities, community activities, research being done in Nepal and published in journal article. So all these kind of activities, journal articles, press releases, or policy briefs, you can find them in this, either this Ostaja RDC Nepal website or Ostaja USA website. We have these 2 websites running very actively. So there is a lot in these websites activity. So after learning all of this now, I have to give a continuity and make a meaningful step forward in the context of Nepal. So what could be that one? Then this is Nepal Vision 2040. So Nepal Vision 2040 means in the year of 2040, which is only 16 years or 15 years left now, so converting Nepal at the par of a developed nation. And how we can do that? By analyzing Nepal's problem, the assets Nepal has, and I came up with this vision of these 9 strategies or guidelines for Nepal to convert from current status of least developed country to a developed country in 2040. So food self-sufficiency, reliance on renewable resources, energy, 30 million tourists annually, export of organic foods, medicinal and aromatic plants, corruption control, infrastructure development, community resiliency, social services, and ostrager resource conservation, development, and utilization. And I have published article on that and discussed very thoroughly about this vision. So key part of this vision implementation is planning, all planning. If the planning is not focused, national planning, regional planning, then this thing cannot happen. So I am proposing this national planning commission having these various units for national planning with a robust representation of ostrager experts in the policy making. So having these experts of these 8 resources in the policy making, then only we can move forward on making some policy they are relevant or they are better for ostrager conservation, development, and utilization, as well as economic development. And ostrager framework serves as an unifying framework for planning all necessary elements in a nation, in fact. Tourism, environmental management, farm management, urban planning and development, educational research, everything can be thought out based on this ostrager framework. So it's a very comprehensive, simplistic in a way, but much very complex when you dive into it. This framework will be very helpful for this planning and then starting to Nepal Vision 2040. One thing I like to bring here very clearly is that without investment, no development can happen. So strategic investment is necessary. So Nepal or any country, those who are looking for development, have to identify, their competitive advantages on what they can invest resources and get the best out of it. So I propose this ostrager investment information system, freely available, and then any people from the world, or companies can see what they can invest in Nepal and what information exists and move forward for those investment potential in the country. Second important thing, the money can be invested, but mechanism to run is very important in the economy. Very important. We cannot get out of corporate businesses because they have the efficiency in their working. We have to get the best use of corporate businesses, whereas the co-ops are also very important to work at the local level. So in Nepal, the co-ops and corporate connection is very, very critical. So corporates can do at the regional and national and international businesses, whereas co-ops can do very good the local businesses. So there must be a connection between the co-op and corporates in order to make the economy so vibrant, so Nepal can be turned into a developed country by 2040. And this whole concept of ostrager Nepal Vision 2040 has been written in Nepali language, and it has been the booklet has been freely distributed across the country now. So this summer I went to Nepal after launching that big book in January. Nepalese people there, they asked me, why don't you write that in Nepali language? Well, then I first hesitated to write in Nepali language, but eventually it worked out. I published this book also, which has ISBN number on this Nepali version too, and now it is being freely distributed all over the country in very understanding language. So I'm very happy about that. We are talking about 2025 to 2040. That is the implementation of ostrager framework, and now I am a life member of Lambda Alpha International Society, which I'm so honored and privileged to be on that. And what I see on Lambda Alpha International is a big connection between Osterja, LAI, and soil science. I'm a PhD in soil science, so I see the value of soil science in Lambda Alpha International. You see here land, this is one element of Osterja, one of the 8 elements of Osterja. So this is land, Lambda Alpha International, Land Economic Society. So what LAI does is study of land economics, use and reuse of land, educational programs and discussion of land, enrichment of urban and rural environment. All right, that's great. That's what all the ecological, environmental restoration, economics, everything related to land you can find in this Land Economic Society here. So how does that relate? Because land and Osterja, they interact both ways. Osterja sustainability affects the land quality, and land degradation impacts the Osterja resources too. So they have a connection. Now with the soil, the land and soil, what is the difference? Land is what all you see but water. Everything except water is land. So land has many different types of soils there. So for example, if you have this type of soil, which we call vertisols in the land, somewhere, the vertisols is known as expansive soil. So when it is dry, it cracks. When it is wet, it swells. So you have this kind of nature on vertisols. Well, in that land, if somebody builds a house, then what happens? The house cracks. The economics fail now. So that means soil science is very integral part of land economics. And as a soil scientist in Lambda Alpha International, I hope I can contribute to the society in a very big way by bringing my PhD degree on soil science and teaching and doing research at University of Louisiana at Lafayette for past 25 years, and also doing soils research in many parts of the world, including Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and of course here in USA, in UC Davis, California, and in Nepal. So this soil now becomes very important discipline for in this system, because soil science also looks for farmers and ranchers, soil health, sustainable land management. Soil scientists, we also look for sustainable land management for ecological and economic value of ecosystem services. We also look for remediation of contaminated urban soils for higher land value and ecosystem services. And similarly, conservation of land for carbon credits, which is a big thing in the field of soil science too. So soil science and Lambda Alpha International and Osterja connection seems to be a very robust. It is a very robust connection for me, and I can really start up from the soil, what we call, all the way to go to this land, and then connect to this framework of Osterja, which will definitely enhance ecological and environmental sustainability, and also it will help us to implement Osterja in Nepal 2025, 2040. So to do that, we need partnership. And Osterja has already developed at least 5 different platforms or organizations in Nepal and outside the country. For example, Osterja USA 2018, this is in Nepal, Osterja RDC, and Osterja, this is cooperatives. This is the International Coordination Council, which I chair. It is a platform of 92 experts from Nepal in 17 countries worldwide, and that platform brings a lot of scholarly, business, and other experiences to the platform. And then, of course, this is an Osterja campaign, which was established in 2008. So these organizations now, we work very closely with this Rotary Club. This is my Rotary. I'm a Rotarian, and this is my home club, Rotary Club of Damoli. So I still maintain that memberships with Rotary Club, Damoli. I work with them. And then now, this is a college, Kathmandu Agriculture Forestry College is our very strong partners. And similarly, this one, the Association of Nepalese in the Americas, 1983 established. Very big organization of Nepalese in America, non-profit organization. So at least this organization happens to be, how many here now? 8 organizations are forming these partnerships, and I know these numbers will grow, and we are looking forward to move forward, looking forward to this implementation of Ostaja for socioeconomic transformation of the country of Nepal. In the meantime, understanding science, technology, practices, everything within the framework of Ostaja for the scientific development. So in summary, Ostaja framework is a grassroots-based participatory and collaborative developmental approach, empowering local communities, ensuring their equitable access to natural resources, and enhancing sustainable community development. The Ostaja framework serves as an integrating and coordinating platform for fragmented programs in the country, and the Ostaja framework enhances ecological and environmental sustainability. And that has been my journey of this ecological and environmental sustainability. Nepal is a beautiful country. It's a paradise of the world. So much of resources there. I talked to you about the 8 jaw, and the prosperity. This 8 becomes, if the 8 becomes side like this, it becomes infinity. So Ostaja offers infinite opportunities for prosperity, peace, harmony, and ecological and environmental sustainability. So Ostaja for infinite opportunities.